Hello and welcome to this video on web forms, specifically publishing forms using the designer. So with this HIPAA video, we're going to cover an overview of the form designer, how to access the form designer, creating a new web form using the designer, reviewing various form input elements that we offer as part of the designer, adding form elements to the palette, removing them, accessing their properties, and creating columns. In addition, we'll be previewing a form that we've made and looking at how columns react to different screen sizes, specifically mobile versus desktop, adding input form elements, adding signature fields to the form, also adding static elements like images, dividers, headers, and then finally publishing the form and getting the form URL. So let's get started. Okay, to start building forms, you click on the Forms drop down and choose Publish Forms. This is going to take you to the Manage Forms screen where you'll see all the forms that you've created. Right now there's none in there. We haven't created any yet. As you can see, you can click on Add PDF or Add Web. We offer both. We're going to cover creating web forms today. The difference is with a web form, you have a couple of benefits. One of those is that the form is reactive to the screen. So if you use an iPhone, the form's going to adapt and basically reduce any, let's say there's 3 columns, it'll reduce it to 1 column. So it's a lot easier to fill out on a mobile device, and they're a lot more lightweight. So those are some of the benefits of a web form. Benefit of a PDF form is you get full and complete control of the layout. So 2 different scenarios depending on what you need them for. So let's get started creating the web form. To do that, click on Add Web button. We're going to give the form a name, and this will take us into the form designer. So we'll go over all the different fields. We have over here on the left are all of the different field elements you can put in there, drop downs, text areas, etc. This is your palette over here to the right where you can start building the form, dropping your elements, your page elements, etc. over there. Across the top here we have the form name. We put that in. The recipient, this person's going to receive the form when it's filled out by the participant, the form filler. This particular person will be notified each time this particular form is filled out and submitted. This is the URL to the form. You could publish this, you could put it in an email, whatever, it's just a web link. Then you can set if the form is active or not, and also put a message in here. Maybe there's something special like, please complete this form, make sure you sign it, and then send it to us. It's optional. It will pop, if you put a message in here, it will pop up before they start filling out the form in a little box. All right, so let's move on down to the designer and the palette area and get started building our first form. So there's 2 ways to place form elements into the palette being your screen or your page building the form on. You can go over here and you can simply left click on one of these elements and it will drop it in there. Just like that. I'll do it with the long answer too. There you go. Or you can drag it over. So I can left click, hold down the mouse, and drag it over here. And depending on where the blue highlight is where it's going to drop. So let's say we wanted to put it in between these 2, the short answer and the long answer. I'll just drop it there, and you see the number is dropped in its place. Now if we need to remove one of these elements, we can just click on the little X here and that will delete it. Let's say we need to change this from short answer to maybe name. That would be good. You can access the element properties here, click on the edit button. These are all the different properties for this particular element. Each one of these elements over here, the email, phone, checkbox, drop downs, radios, file uploads, signatures, they all have different properties based on what the element is. In this case, this is a short answer, so it basically has a label. So we'll just say it's patient name. The help text, if you can put some text in there, it's going to show above it to kind of give, it'll be a little, here, let's just do it so you can see it. Enter your name. Placeholder goes actually in the field, and it's where they would type. So for example, it'd be an example of what would go in there, maybe John Doe, for example. And then the value is the actual value of the field. So we'll leave that blank. And if you want to hide the label, you don't want the patient name or whatever showing at all, you can do that as well by checking this box. So let's save that, and we'll see here all the different things we put in there. This is a placeholder, John Doe, and then if you mouse over this, it'll give you the help text in her name. All right, so let's add a couple more fields here. We're going to add a long answer. So the difference between a short and a long answer is just the field length. So we'll add a date and a phone number. So let's say now that we obviously want to arrange this form a little bit better, because we probably don't want everything in a single column. We can make multiple columns. So to do that, to make multiple columns, let's say we have a patient first name and a last name, for example. Let's go ahead and change this to patient. Let's just say first name. And we want to add another one that's last name. Okay, so now we've got first and last name, but we want them to be on the same row. So we want to add another column. So to do that, we can just grab hold of this element and drag it up here, and then drop it over here where it's highlighted in blue, and that'll create another column for us. And then we have first name, last name. We can create making columns. I believe you can have up to 6 of them. So you can have as many columns as you want per row, well, up until 6. Once you get past 6, it gets a little bit weird. But I think that 6 is the limit. So you get the idea. You can move things around. Okay, let's say, oh, we don't want the date up there. Let's put it underneath or next to the long answer. That's fine. We can do that as well. Creating columns is very easy. And the nice thing about it is, if you were to use this on a mobile device, the columns will break down. Let's do a quick preview. When you preview, it actually saves the form also. Let's do a quick preview, and you'll see that when we, I'm going to drag this off, here we go. So when we make this the size of a mobile device, now the form actually displays as a single column to accommodate the device. So it's reactive. It's really nice for smaller screens with smaller real estate. So let's continue going over the different form elements. I just want to put a title up here just because I think it's necessary. So we're going to grab this title. I'm going to left click and drag it to the top. And right here where this blue is, okay, and drop. So this is the title text. Let's just say it's a sample intake form. And you can set the text size and the height. We're going to center this text. There we go. There's our sample intake form, first name, last name. We're going to change this to a phone number. So I'm going to get rid of this field, and I'm going to grab this phone and just move it up here to the right of the last name. Let's say we want to put an email in here. We'll drop the email address here. If we need checkboxes, drop downs, and radio buttons, we have all of those here. So let's say we need a checkbox for gender, for example. Let's click here. Now let's open the properties of the checkbox. We can see them. We need to add male, female, and maybe a third for non-binary. Let's go ahead and do that. Click on Edit Properties. We're going to put gender here. We can do inline. That means it's going to put it on a straight line versus as a column. Let's just do that for fun. Inline. Let's say male. These are, this is the left column is what's displayed, and then the right is going to be the data element. But since we're not using the data element this time, you could leave it blank if you wanted to. All right, let's add female and non-binary. And save. All right, and there's our check boxes. And we're going to go ahead and leave this unchecked. Otherwise, by default, when they pull up the form the first time, it will show that. Radio buttons are pretty similar. similar idea to the checkboxes, have very similar layouts in the way you do the options as well. So we won't go over that. And then lastly, the drop down. Let's open the properties here. And there is a checkbox to allow multiple. So if for some reason they wanted to check multiple options, you have the option to do that. So there are the drop down checkboxes and radio buttons. Next, let's talk about adding signatures. So you can add a signature field to the form by clicking on the signature element over here, or you can drag and drop it, whichever you prefer. And that's just going to drop in this element here. Again, you can make the field required if you want by checking required. Most people want to require the signature. And again, any label or whatever, maybe you just want to change it to patient signature and save that. So when they click this, it will bring up a dialog for them to enter their name and then hit save, and it'll capture their name, their IP address, the date, etc., and place that into the digital signature and record it as a digital signature. We can preview how that works real quick. Let's do that. Let's click on preview, and we'll click on the signature field as if we're filling this thing out, and this is what you'll see. So I'm going to type my name in here, and I agree, and insert signature. There you go. So that's what it would look like when they click on it and sign it. All right, next thing, let's take a look at the file upload. If they needed to put their insurance card or anything like any kind of image or file or whatever, they have the option to upload here. Let's just assume it's a insurance card. All right, so basically when they click on that, it opens a file selector dialog, and they can select a file from their local machine and upload the file to the form. Now let's add an image element. So we'll scroll down here. I'm going to grab left click the image element and drag it into place. All right, let's drag this on up to the top of the screen. Here we go. Now let's say that we want to obviously put our own logo in there. We're going to use this as a logo. So we're going to go to our web page. In this case, I'll go to HIPAA. We're going to copy. I'm right-clicking on this image on a website, any website. Copy image address. Then we'll go back here to the image properties. We'll edit the image properties. Right here where it says image URL, and just paste that image in there, the image address. And there you go. There's the image in your form. I'm going to get rid of this label because we don't need that label there. So I'll edit properties and choose hide label. And we'll go ahead and center this. Let's make it a little smaller. We can change the size of the image, width and the height. Remember, your aspect ratio is the compares the width to the height. So if you get that a little off, you can adjust it some, so it might look squeezed or elongated depending on that. That's not too bad. If we want to, we can move this up next to it, this title, and there we go. Actually, that doesn't look so great. I'll move it down. All right, so there's our logo for the image. Let's take a look at the other image properties. We've got width, height, we've got the alignment. We can align it left, center, or right, and then we can add some text to the image if we want, the size of the text and the text position. All right. Lastly, let's take a look at some of the static elements we have. This would be, for example, title, which we did before, paragraphs and dividers. Let's drop some paragraph text in here. Don't be alarmed, that's just sample. This is just sample random verbiage text to give you an idea of what the paragraph looks like. So when we go into properties, we can edit that text. We'll just put in here, let's put some information about the signature. Please sign this document for wishes, etc. So, and then we can hide the label if we want for the paragraph and save it. Your paragraph text is just basically what it says. It's just static text that might explain some fields or what the form is for, etc. And then if we'd like a divider in here, let's say we want to put a divider between gender and this radio button, you could grab this divider element, drag it up there, drop it in between. It makes a nice divider separation between two sections. And if we look at the properties for that, we've got the width of the divider, the height, we can make it a lot taller if we want, and then the alignment also. There's our options for the divider. So that's a high level of the designer. Let's go ahead and publish this form. I already hit the publish button off camera, so the publish button changed to update, but typically if it was a new form you would see publish instead of update. So we'll go ahead and hit that, and that will publish the form. We'll be taken back to the manage forms screen, and here we can see that the name of the form we created, this is the type, it is a web form. This is a link to it, so this is what you would publish, https signsafe.it/blah blah blah. So if we want to go ahead and fill this form out as if we were a participant filling it out, we could click on this link and it would take us to the form to fill it out. So let's do that. We'll click on the link, and this is what the form is going to look like to the participants that are filling it out. If they were to click it on your website, or if you had an email and you sent it, as soon as they click on it, they get this screen. It's just a security check to make sure it's not a bot or somebody trying to spam you with forms. So we'll key in this CAPTCHA, put in our email address, and then hit continue. And here's our form. We can hit sign. I agree, insert signature. Here's our drop downs, options. So that's it for the form. Hit submit, and it tells the form's been submitted successfully, and advises them if they want to keep a copy of it, they can print this or print it to PDF for their records, or just simply close the screen. Either way. So let's close that, and now we'll go back to messages and see if the form is there. Here's the completed form. This is who it's from, test@test.com. New completed form, test form. Let's click it. We see there's an attachment in there, and that's the actual completed form in HTML format. So very portable. You can download this as an attachment, save it to your hard drive. You can just click it and open it, view it, forward it. So this is your form saved and your signature. So one final thing, let's go back to the Manage Forms page. This link, in order to get the link, you can hover over it and right click and choose copy link address, and that copies it to the clipboard. Or you can use this icon, it's a QR code icon. Click on that, and you can click on the copy button, and this is going to copy this link to the form into your clipboard for you. And then there's also other options in here. This is a QR code. You can copy that and paste it into a Word document or something you want to print out. And then when folks scan that with their phones, it'll bring the form up in their mobile device. And then if you want to publish this URL or the form on your website, we provide sample code for you as well. And this is the sample HTML code to embed in your website. That's it for the Form Designer. Thank you for watching.